Well, welcome everyone to an NCAA Digital March Madness Men's Basketball Chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by, weird to say, former Villanova head coach Jay Wright, the Hall of Famer. And Jay, we last were together at the Final Four in New Orleans. I had no idea. No one else had any inkling. You kept this incredibly close to the vest. And I've seen, obviously, your post news conference from your announcement and everything that's come from that. But I'm just curious, first off, how hard was that to keep it so tight within you and your family and Mark Jackson, your AD, and his family and the president?
It was really stressful. It was more stressful than going through the games at the end of the year, because at the end of the year, it kind of felt like we were doing the right thing for the players. You know, we were keeping the focus on our next game. Everybody was dialed in 100%. So keeping it secret from them, you felt good about it. Once the season ended and we're meeting with the guys about their future, you know, I had to tell each guy, you know, we're going to talk about your future. And then, you know, I got to think about my future too. I said it to each one of them. I don't think they thought I was thinking about it right then. But we wanted to make sure that we could keep the entire staff intact, so that when we did tell the players, we could say, look, I'm retiring. The whole staff is intact. Kyle's going to be the head coach. We had to get that process done. So when I told him I was telling him the truth. That was the difficult. I couldn't sleep at night. That was the most stressful thing I've been through, is looking at these guys and knowing I couldn't tell them.
You know, as you look back at this last year, and I was thinking about this, you maybe more than any other college basketball coach, because of the Olympics, had a grueling year with this pandemic. When I think back to the multiple bubbles that Villanova was in at the beginning of the year, and then obviously with the tournament, then Colin goes down, and then, you know, we have this little bit of a reprieve in the spring, and then you dive into like the most intense bubble ever with Tokyo, and you win a gold, but you're in that same pressure cooker of the COVID bubble, come out of that, then another season, Omicron, deal with that, Justin Moore, Final Four. This year of what you have gone through, how exhausting was it?
You know, that might have had something to do with it, Andy. And I, you know, I thought about that, and you know, because you and I have talked about it, that Olympic bubble. I wish someone would tell that story about those guys, those players, what they went through. Kevin Durant, Dame Lillard, and all those guys. It was incredible. But I do think it also helped me. It forced me to think about a succession plan, and what's most important is how Villanova goes into the future. You know, obviously I'm not, you know, I wasn't going to be there forever, and setting it up for the future was really important. And this was it forced me to think about how we're going to do this. And this was the perfect time, because we can have a good team next year, and you want the next staff to be successful right away, and we could keep all our guys in place. And what makes the program so strong is the George Halkoviches, the Mike Nardis, the Dwayne Anderson, the staff connected to our players, John Shackleton, our strength coach. And it forced me to think about that and put together this plan. So I kind of think it had a little effect, but a positive effect.
You know, everyone loves to throw around the word culture, but there was no question that whenever you saw a Villanova team play, any opponent that played Villanova, they knew what they were getting. It was incredibly tough to beat Villanova. Villanova was hardly going to beat themselves. Maybe they didn't always have the best players on the floor, but they were going to work together. As you leave as the head coach, what is it about that part of your legacy of what you built at Villanova that you're most proud of?
That's a very important point to our moving forward, was how do we keep this culture alive? It's not just how many years do I want to stay there. It's, you know, that's what we built. And it's kind of been a progression from Coach Mass to Steve Lapis to myself and our staff. Like, what was the continuation of that culture. Villanova's always had a great culture, but I'm proud of where we've taken it, and that's why this was a good time, because Kyle Neptune was with us for 10 years. Our staff is together. They can keep that culture going, but keep it going within this new era of college athletics. Your culture has to adapt, to the times. There's certain core values have to stay the same, but you've got to be able to adapt. And I think Kyle, George Halkovich, Mike Nardi, Dwayne Anderson are really poised to take this culture into the new era of college basketball.
I'm going to spin this a little differently when people say, oh my God, he's only 60 and he retires and he's at the top. And I look at it the other way and saying, you know what? He's accomplished, he's checked every box. National championships, Hall of Fame, Olympic gold, built this incredible program, and he's still young enough to enjoy life and not take it to where it's, physically you cannot do things in the rest of your life. I'm just curious, were there any other examples of, in any sport, coach, player that you looked at and say, you know what, that's a great example of when to walk away and still enjoy the second part of your life?
You know what, Andy, that the way you just explained it is exactly how we looked at it. Patty and I looked at it that way, that we feel great about everything we did. And as I said to you, we want to be able to keep it going. So it's not about us staying as long as we can. It's about keep this thing going. And as you said, we're healthy, thank God. And we want to enjoy this. Like, there's so many things about Villanova that we don't get to enjoy. Like, Tuesday afternoon, noon mass on campus. Like, I'm running around, Patty, like, let's go to mass at noon on campus. Father Rob's doing, I can't go, we have so many great events and outings with alumni. I can't go. And things that I enjoy that you and I talk about, going down to the Jersey Shore. Well, I'm at the Jersey Shore. I'm on the phone all the time. I do want to be able to enjoy those things and still enjoy Villanova basketball, and still be able to talk to Kyle Neptune, talk to the guys, like take Justin Moore out to lunch and talk about life and not have to yell at him about being in a defensive stance, that kind of stuff I really do look forward to.
All right, last two things for you. I've always admired your ability to have tremendous balance. We've mentioned Patty a couple of times. I've had the pleasure of getting to know her and talk to her, and she's obviously right by your side. How have you been able to really have great balance in your life, at least from the outside, from what we can see, and to be that partner in life, that best friend, despite having an incredibly demanding job and life?
You know what, Andy, Patty, she's so sweet, and you see that side of her, but I wasn't balanced. I really wasn't. And she was the one that was constantly dragging me back in, not in a negative way, but just reminding me all the time, like, you're crazed. You got to relax. I wasn't as good as I seemed. That was probably the greatest challenge in our coaching career. And I thank God for her. She didn't hound me about it, but she just intelligently would explain to me situations like, Jay, you're sitting in church, you're texting your players, put the phone down. This is an example of not being able to free your mind. I wasn't as good at it as it might have looked. And I thank you for saying that it looked good, but it was 24/7, which I loved. But Patty would always explain to me, like, you're missing out on real life things. Like, look, things in our kids' lives, so it was always a struggle. And she would make me do things sometimes that I would say, like, I should be recruiting, and I'd be happy I did it after she made me do it. And it did keep me as balanced as I could be.
Well, certainly, you've got a very loving family. There's no question about it. And it appears definitely goes both ways. All right. Last thing, Jay, behind me, I got that March Madness logo. You've had incredible success, 4 Final Fours, 2 national championships, unbelievable moments. I've been fortunate to be courtside for a number of them. I was there when Scotty Reynolds in Boston in 2009 with the layup to beat Pitt. Obviously there courtside for Chris Jenkins' shot, and then the dominance in 2018, and then, I had the honor of the last Final Four in New Orleans. What does March Madness mean to you?
Andy, it is truly, I would say this when we're in it, but now that I'm thinking about not being there, it's even more so. It is truly the greatest sports spectacle in our country. And I have Nick Sirianni is a friend of mine, Howie Roseman. I have some friends in NFL. And I've always said that to him. I said, it's like a Super Bowl. And a couple guys, not those two, but have said to me, it's actually a bigger event than the Super Bowl because it goes for the whole week. And there's 2 games to it. And the Saturday, Monday event, it's actually bigger. It draws the country in even more so. And I really believe that. I think it's something that at the NCAA, we have to protect it and have to continue to evolve because our country is mesmerized by it. And when you're a student athlete and you can be involved in it, the NCAA has done such a great job improving the involvement of the players and their families that anything we can do to grow that is great for college basketball. It's great for the NCAA and it's great for our country.
Well, Jay, it's been an honor and privilege to share this forum with you as the head coach at Villanova. But you're not going anywhere. I look forward to more encounters and engagements in the future.
Thanks, buddy. Always good to be with you, Andy.